I probably watch this film once every 6 weeks, probably, realistically, and probably will.
Once
forever.
every 6 weeks?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And it may not
lot.
be sit and watch it, but
No,
just like
turn
you,
it on.
boom, it goes
Turn it
in,
on.
push play, boom, it's
I should
on.
probably get that in my routine.
Yeah.
Where's the money, Lebowski? Bunny says you're good for it.
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast coming at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor David O, the city brainer. With me, as always, is my brother.
I didn't ask to be born.
Goddamn idiot. Hey, Gabriel Johnson, how are you?
I am well, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Hey, did you see that this guy's with us?
Oh,
Second time, baby. Encore.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about it for goddamn year since he left.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
We have been saying that this man is coming back on specifically to talk about 90s movies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, Mr. Kevin Yeager.
Hey, thanks, guys. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
30 seconds to explain yourself. Go.
30 seconds to explain myself. Born and raised in Colorado, live here in Minnesota, moved here in 1991. I run a design firm, design houses. Got a wife, 4 beautiful daughters. They're almost all gone, thank God. We got one left. And I do some work with the city and do a lot of volunteer work, do a little some acting on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
And that was probably the best 30 seconds of explaining of anyone we've
you said
had.
that the last time, so I had to keep. Yeah, I think you said that the last time.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I, too, almost got rid of all my kids, but then I decided to have more kids. So I got a big gap in between of the kids that will be leaving me. It was a bad decision, but, things happen.
Bad things happen. Bad things happen to good people, right?
Telling your children you said that. Dad says you were a bad decision.
Yeah, the stacking of the two.
I'm sure he tells them.
Yeah, the little ones? All the time. All the time.
It certainly does suck.
Oh, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about movies from the 90s. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
So we had Kevin Yeager on about a year ago, not quite.
Yeah.
And we talked about movies from the 80s. And I actually really enjoyed that episode because we talk a lot about movies on here, but we don't go into like the minutia of the craft so much as I think we maybe could. We do a lot of popcorn flicks. We do a lot of, hey, do you remember this type of stuff? And more than anything, we like to make fun of movies. But you had a hot take when I said, let's talk about 90s.
Yeah, I did.
And,
a little
and
bit.
it was.
Yeah. And I appreciate you bringing me here because as people may or may not know, I am a dyed-in-the-wool Gen Xer, early Gen Xer.
Yeah.
So basically, everything from the 80s is amazing. Everything from the 90s on sucks, completely sucks. So I appreciate you having on somebody who may throw a little shade at some 90s stuff. We won't even talk about the music, but we'll start with the movies. And there's good stuff from the 90s, but
Shots fired at
everything was good.
all grunge.
Yeah.
80s music is scientifically proven to be bad.
See,
I could pull up an article right now.
Example of the generational gap right there, manifesting itself right here.
Scott barely made the 80s.
That's not
so-
me. That's the
Science.
science.
Trust the science.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Science.
All right, get back on track. We said that before we get started, we had a whole list of movies that we want to specifically talk about. We're going to kind of weave our way into like some more art housey type stuff. But right away, one of the things that we did not talk about that we should have talked about multiple times is Kevin Smith movies. So are you guys okay with talking about Kevin Smith for a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Gabe, we're going to start with you. Kevin Smith, first thoughts.
Not even supposed to be here today.
Scott, thoughts, please save us.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is a great movie, not from the 90s.
Not from the 90s, but it might as well be from the 90s. Yes. My favorite Kevin Smith movie is Mallrats. We've talked about that. We didn't talk about Mallrats on the podcast because I don't think that it's really something that you need to dive into that much. It's not a good movie. I've rewatched that movie 1,000 times, and actually recently I rewatched it. It's not a good movie. I can't say it's a good movie. But I also really enjoy the movie Ski Patrol, one of my favorite movies. Also not a good movie, but one of my favorite movies. So
Disagree. Mallrats is a very good movie.
It's a quotable movie.
That makes it good.
If all you want to do is recap it over and over and over again.
If all you want to do is use sound
If
bites.
all it does is stick with you.
Remember that time they said, or whatever.
Disagree.
As somebody who speaks in movie quotes,
Yes.
It has helped me a lot in life.
In terms of being a Rosetta Stone, it is a perfect Rosetta Stone. It is nothing but a way to speak a foreign language that is movies.
It's the yin to American Beauty's yang.
What, like the back of a Volkswagen? Anyways, I like Kevin Smith. I used to love Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith movies really got weird, like in the mid 2000s.
I haven't seen anything he's made.
Oh, you
probably
did like Clerks
since Jay and
2
Silent Bob. Oh, I saw Clerks 2. That was probably the last Kevin Smith movie.
I think there's a
saw.
Clerks 3, isn't there?
I think they're making it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He got weird, but back then, first movie being Clerks, you know Clerks. Talk to me about Clerks.
I'll be honest, I just don't get it. So just,
What?
I'm just, I just don't.
That's why we're starting with him.
Yeah, so it's just all I can say is it's from a genre or from a time when films were made in a certain way, especially humorous films were made in a certain way that to me was it's a little low hanging fruit, surfacey kind of stuff. That's the way I see it. I watch it. I watch it again in preface to this. To this podcast, and I'm like, it's not for me.
It's not for me. No. I have not watched it.
I have an appreciation for it.
I haven't watched it in a long time. But what his movies come across as is, like, you hear all the time that people, like the actors from Star Wars would say, George, you can write this stuff, but you can't read it. And I think about that every time I go back and watch a Kevin Smith movie. It's like, dude, you can write that, but you can't actually say it out loud. Like nobody says shit like that. Right. Like Mallrats, there's a great example where he says, I can't speak monosyllabically enough for you to understand. It's like, dude, nobody can even say that. Monosyllabically? Jesus, dude. And that is how I feel about him. It's not that it's necessarily pretentious, but it's like, yeah, that's super, super funny, like the way you wrote that. But at the same time, like in terms of like someone actually acting it and doing it, it's a weird.
And he's
Especially
supposed to
the
be
people he employs to act for.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Randall and what's the other guy's name?
I forget, actually.
How can we forget?
Dante.
Randall and Dante are horrific actors.
Very bad.
They're really, really
Very
bad actors.
And that's a movie with Jason Mewes in it.
Right, exactly.
Is that by intent though? I mean,
It's just his friends. It was
Yeah,
friends.
they're not actors.
Yeah. Yep.
so.
That being
But-
said, in Clerks 2, Randall actually has a sappy monologue near the end of the movie where he talks about just wanting to hang out with his best friend. And that is very good acting. But everything else.
Well, there was also
Not great.
2 decades between those films.
Sure.
They might have picked up a few things.
Well, and the studio tried recasting Jay,
Yes. Yeah.
and he just wouldn't let them.
Well, and that had a lot to do with drug use and stuff as well. Like Jay Mewes, very famously has a large drug problem. I think he's since kind of cleared that up, but he's got the mouth thing now. That happens with the drug users. I still don't get that. Do you know why does that happen? It's just the way they hold their mouth. Like
Well, he got surgery.
yeah, but it's not just him though. It's not just him. It's like
Well, sure.
I can list people from my own personal life that I'm thinking of right now in my head where it's like, why do you hold your mouth like that now?
Yeah, Craig.
But okay, if you had to, Kevin Smith, you're not a fan.
No, I'm not a fan. I mean, it's just one of them things. I get it, I appreciate it for what it is. I appreciate that other people appreciate it. It's not my thing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, I think he's a good writer. I think all of his movies are very quotable.
Yes.
And to me, that makes it good enough.
I think he's a very good writer. I think that his films are done by a guy that was just going to make movies, which I love. That's what I like about Clerks is that he just wanted to make a movie. So he actually sold his comic book collection to get enough money to make a movie. Like I like that. Right. But then Mallrats, like now that I've like went back and like saw some behind the scenes stuff, there's like a whole beginning to that movie that just got cut off, and rightfully fucking so. It is dog shit terrible. Like they start off with like some kind of World War reenactment or something, like a Civil War reenactment at a high school. It's like bizarre. And it makes no sense at all. None of it makes any sense. And then you see, again, the actors that are in that there's so many times where you're like, oh, that's actually really cleverly written, but the acting is so fucking bad. So fucking bad. But it has a little bit of a charm to it. I like the charm of, hey, it's me and some buddies making a film.
Sure.
And by the way, somebody gave us a shit ton of money to do it now. So,
Well, I have the DVD. I listened to the what was it?
Commentary.
The commentary years ago, and I remember at the beginning of the movie, they said they were filming in Minnesota.
Yep.
At the same time, the Coen Brothers were filming Fargo.
yep.
And they thought Fargo was going to be such a horse movie, and Mallrats was going to be in the awards show.
It's gonna crush.
It was the exact opposite.
All right. Well, speaking of the Coen Brothers, let's move on to that. But before we do, final thoughts on Kevin Smith, favorite Kevin Smith movie or favorite quote from any of the Kevin Smith movies? Go.
Good writer.
Favorite movie?
Mallrats.
Yeah, Mallrats. Scott.
My favorite is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but also a movie that you cannot find anymore, Dogma.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was a good one.
And I haven't seen that movie in 20 years, but I remember really, really liking it. But now it's like impossible to find.
I've got the DVD if you want to borrow it.
Yeah, I do like
except
Dogma.
My Xbox won't play it.
I forget about Dogma.
I think favorite quote, Dave, that kid is back on the escalator again.
It's the best one.
Because, as we talk about sometimes, we're involved in city business, and I'll send you that meme quite frequently. Like, this item is back on the agenda.
Yes.
Again. Like, we have to deal with the same shit over and over again, as you know, Kevin, and it gets old.
Yeah, and it's always the same people dredging it back up. That is probably the most used quote, and on the podcast as well. We use that all the freaking time. And one of my favorite bits in any movie, because I really enjoy when something's happening and another character is completely distracted by something else. There's a movie, God, I can't remember what it is, and I'll try to remember when we come back because it's in the 2000s sometimes. I think it's called Up in Smoke. And there's a guy talking while his friend is like knocking on the door trying to get into this house. And the friend is not giving two shits what he's talking about. He's just annoyed that the person is not coming to the door. And I died because it's like, I'm also not listening to that guy. So I love jokes where somebody doesn't give a shit what's happening. It's like, the kid is back on the escalator again.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
So I enjoy that. Scott, you had said Dogma. Kevin?
I remember seeing Clerks when I was younger. I remember parts of Mallrats, and then, so I went back and saw Clerks. That's my only frame of reference here.
Yeah, well, you said it's
I'm
Dogma.
not throwing any shade, but did any of the Kevin Smith films win anything? Did they
No.
go to the? Did they?
No, he was a darling for Clerks, but mainly that's just because it got made for nothing.
Okay.
And
People
because
love
it was
that.
black and white.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Black and white. This is
It's very retro, very cutting edge.
I don't know what it is about me, but I find black and white movies to be incredibly boring.
Devoid of something. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is,
It's
but
just-
something's missing.
It just doesn't pop.
All right, so let's move on from one prolific 90s director to another set, and that is the Coen Brothers. Kevin, you have right in front of you, you have 3 pieces of paper. One of them says Fargo.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's chat.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, if I was to make a short list of greatest creative teams, in my opinion, of all time in all filmmaking, to me, the Coen Brothers are on the very, very short list. They had several films that would be, I guess, in the 90s. I think I wrote them down. All from the 90s. Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, Hudsucker Proxy, Fargo, and Big Lebowski. Wow, what a run.
Wow.
It's pretty remarkable team.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of them until Fargo because I was pretty young then. That's 14, I think, when Fargo came out. I knew the Hudsucker Proxy was a film. I may have seen it, but I didn't know, this is a team of brothers making it. But then after that, going back, when I got deep into film and art or art school and whatnot, Miller's Crossing,
It's fantastic. Dude. It's fantastic.
What a just weird little film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, of course, all started with Blood Simple, which may or may not know. That kind of got them going. And if you get the chance to see that one, it's remarkable.
After the
amazing film.
80s episode, but maybe before the 80s, you told me to watch it, and I did, and it is a very good movie.
Yep, it's a juggernaut.
If you're interested, last time Kevin Yeager was on, we talked about 80s and we talked about Blood Simple.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
Yeah, big
That's right.
fan of that movie as well. But talk about like Fargo specifically. Let's talk about it.
Well, let's kick it off and first say that when I remember seeing this in the theater, and the first thing I remember is the line that came on as it started and said, "These events are true. The names have been changed," and yada yada. And it was literally not until years later that I realized that that was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Complete bullshit.
You can do that?
I literally thought that like happened. You know? So I was like, "Hey, whoa, you can say that?" And then,
Oh no, that's just in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So
the movie has started. We can say whatever we want. You say that and that you didn't know. We just posted a pick this or pick that, and it was the movie Seven versus the movie Fargo, because I like to do that. We've talked about this. I like to do kind of a little bit more popcorny versus a little bit of an art host, because then people lose their fucking minds. It's so much fun. If you are a part of our Facebook or any of our social media, it has become my greatest joy to watch people go, "How in the world can you even compare? How can?" And you just, because I did.
Not even comparing.
Yeah.
Thumb or heart.
Yeah, which one do you
So,
like?
Kevin, you believed that it was real because they told you it was.
correct.
Did you believe
And I'm not
the
ashamed.
Blair Witch Project?
I did. Well, yeah, at the time too. That was kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah,
and I
they
actually
said the same thing.
Yeah, same kind of thing of this is real, and you get sucked in and all that stuff. But Fargo to me was just absolutely an amazing. From the first time I saw it, I was like, this is some of the greatest stuff of all time. And it was when you then throw in later knowing that Coen Brothers are from here, so it takes on this really cultural type feel of them almost. I don't want to say making fun, but kind of taking a lighthearted shot at where they were raised, the people they were raised around, and then just like amplifying that to this like gratuitous, over the top level.
Yep.
I don't know if Fargo has the same appeal to people who aren't from Minnesota or from this or have an affiliation in this area, but because that's a big part of it, right? For us, maybe Fargo means something different to the world.
Yeah. I think you're right, because on that same post, which also somebody did post, "Hey, I just had a client that told me that it totally happened, and they know so and so and so and so." So people still believe.
I know Margie Gunderson's nephew.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she lived in White Bear Lake or something.
Yeah, but there is that connection. We talked about it in that, like, the scenes where they're driving around the lake. You're like, I know that exact thing. We lived right off of an area that was just like that. Like, yeah, you can drive down and there's nothing but cabins on this road. There is nobody anywhere near any of these houses. And so, yeah, I don't know if that resonates, because somebody would be like, how do you just put somebody a wood chipper next to another house? It's like, there ain't nobody for miles, for miles. And they know that. It is interesting. The Coen Brothers, we've said this previously as well, that they referred to Minnesota as Siberia with family restaurants.
Right.
And so there's a little bit of a sting to it, but that's where the best characters come from.
Yeah.
Is
They
when
drew upon what they knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
It strikes me a lot as like Mike Judge. We talked about that as well. Mike Judge, his characters are people from his past. So the King of the Hills of the world and stuff like that are all people that he remembers. That's what Fargo reminds me of. And it's just so damn good. I'm sorry if you don't like the movie Fargo. I love the movie Fargo.
I imagine it has some lasting power. I think we might hold it dearer to our heart because it is set in Minnesota, but I mean, it swept the awards season. It won a handful of Oscars. So,
and Best Picture doesn't mean shit. We've learned that
nowadays.
Well, American Beauty also won Best Picture, and it's great until you then look back on it and you're like, well, that's weird. That's a little weird.
The plot line was a little weird.
It's a little weird now, looking back.
Yeah.
A little weird.
My favorite part about Fargo, though, in recent years that I just learned was Scott's telling of his first time watching the movie.
So Scott had come on to the movie after it is announced.
About 3 minutes after it started. So I didn't see that it's true, but I also didn't see that the main character, William H. Macy's character, I didn't see that he had met with the two hitmen prior to the movie really getting going.
Yeah.
So I had no fucking idea why this guy seemed so aloof
Yeah.
and didn't seem to really care that his wife had been murdered.
So you had the look that Marge has all the time when she's just kind of squinting at him. It's like, what is up with this dude?
Yeah, like the whole movie, I was trying to figure out what the hell this character was.
Well, and keep in mind that the Coen Brothers do that intentionally throughout the movie. They don't really say why he owes the money. They don't really go into all that. And I think that's some of the brilliant part of their writing is they don't really give you the whole story in many of their movies.
Yeah.
They give you enough parts and pieces that you got to use your imagination to fill in the rest. But you're 100% correct. Yeah, missing that first scene.
Yeah, so I saw a completely different movie.
So going through their list, Miller's Crossing, highly recommend. Go watch it. Mobster film with this like Gaelic soundtrack to it. It's just if you're looking,
brilliant.
Yeah, if you're looking for soundtracks to just pop on in the background, maybe take a nap to, but just hang out and have a chill life. Miller's Crossing is right up there.
Well, as it's been established, if you need to take a nap, you just need to watch The Matrix.
Yes, 90s movies.
I second that.
It has been confirmed. Even if you like it, like myself, you're like, I really like this, and then you go, wow, I fell asleep. Barton Fink is very interesting, very bizarre.
A little bit, yep.
Very bizarre. Hudsucker Proxy, also very weird. To note of Hudsucker Proxy, they built buildings for that, and I'm trying to remember what the order is, but the buildings that are in that are in a bunch of other films as well. So they build these fake sets of like New York or whatever it is, and this I don't think they call it New York. But those same buildings are in a bunch of other movies as well. So that's kind of a fun fact for that one.
Coen Brothers movies or just other
Other
All over,
movies,
like studios, yeah.
So they would just get put into storage, and then somebody like, yeah, we got to take those out. And I'll actually look up a list of what those are all in, because it's just, I love shit like that.
Yeah.
The back lots and stuff like that.
houses. Some houses have been used
So
in many,
cool.
many different movies.
Yeah, so cool. But then obviously Fargo, and then the big one that we said we were going to talk about, the Big Lebowski.
The Big Kahuna. The Big Kahuna.
Big Kahuna.
Many would argue the Coen Brothers' greatest movie.
Didn't do well in the box office.
Big flop.
Big flop. And follow up to Fargo.
They were second to market on the bowling movies.
Yeah.
Got beat by Kingpin.
Got beat by Kingpin. People are like, you know what? We've seen enough bowling for a while. We're going to give it a break. The Big Lebowski is top 3 movie for me. I've said this
Totally agree.
before. My 3 favorite films in no order are The Big Lebowski, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Those are my 3 all-time favorite movies in no order. I would watch any of those countlessly. But The Big Lebowski, when I was in college, I would just put it on behind me and then do all my work on the computer, because I was in computer graphics, computer animation. So I had to do a lot of tedious work on the computer, and I couldn't watch it because that would distract me. So I would put it on behind me and then just listen to it. And it is one of the most enjoyable films to just listen to, because one, you don't realize how many fucks are in that movie. It's absurd how many fucks are in that movie. But also just, you want to talk about the script and the story and the way things are written. It's masterful.
I totally agree. And when it flopped, right? I don't know if you're like me, but you're like, oh, people just didn't get it.
Yeah.
If it didn't do well, it's because they're idiots. They don't get it. Right?
We went to it. Me and my 15-year-old kid or 15-year-old friends went to it and laughed hysterical, and they were like, "Why don't people like this?" Yeah. Get after it though. Let's talk.
Walter Solchak. I mean, my favorite character. I mean, other than the Jesus, right? The Jesus is right up there. But Walter Solchak in this film was just absolutely hilarious. His character, or whoever dreamt him up and put him in the outfit they put him in, had him talk the way they did. It's just absolutely genius. And you could say that about pretty much every character in this. But what a ride the Big Lebowski was, and continues to be. I probably watch this film once every 6 weeks, probably, realistically, and probably will.
Once
forever.
every 6 weeks?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And it may
That's a
not be
lot.
sit and watch it, but
No,
just like
turn
you,
it on.
boom, it goes
Turn it
in,
on.
push play, boom, it's
I should
on.
probably get that in my routine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's not really one you can have on around the kids. So that's the problem I have, is like I still have the littles again. So I have to be careful about what is on in terms of that. And that's what caused me to stop just turning it on. But I was in the same boat. It was this is just turn it on. I just want to hear and laugh to myself, because even the music is just such a weird journey.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Such a weird journey that tells you exactly where you are in the film, too.
Talk about a quotable movie. I mean, my God, we've all used some quotes from there, anyways. Some, but
Just right out the gate. Well, obviously, you're not a golfer.
Oh, God.
what's your favorite quote? You
Of
you
that,
got one that pops up?
God, right off the top of my head, 8-year-olds, dude.
Yeah.
Because again, you want to talk about somebody just not caring what's happening. There's a whole fucking story happening, and he just goes,
8-year-olds, dude.
My favorite would be Smokey. This is not Vietnam. There are rules.
That's what I would say is mine. I use that one.
Oh, good.
yeah, and they do get close. Kind of a Kevin Smith thing. They get a little close where sometimes he'll say some things that you're
like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, and how'd you get that out? Like, that's not really dialogue. Nobody talks like that. But at the same time, it's so well acted. John Goodman specifically, it just rolls off the tongue.
One of the best supporting actors all time. Yeah. Everything he's in as a supporting actor, he lifts it up every single time.
And speaking of supporting actors, Philip Seymour Hoffman as well, who is in another one of your films that you've got here. It's such an interesting role for him because it's so different than everything else he does. In the film we're going to bring up here in a little bit, he's exactly who I expect. In The Big Lebowski, it's just such a weird, like that laugh and
the fake college frat boy, frat boy kind of feel to him.
Yes, this is our concern, dude.
The way he calls him dude.
Yeah,
This is our concern, dude.
Really works.
What I would say, so talk about people using people they know. That's one of the coolest things from Fargo is these characters are people they knew. The dude is a actual guy that they know that they then wrote a movie about. And same thing with Walter. They just took these characters, but they match them so well. The actual Big Lebowski and Philip Seymour Hoffman are such a good combo that separate, a dude that's just kind of, coarse and rich is a terrible character, but you put that little chirp behind him that softens it, and it's just such a good little combo.
And then you think about the group, the trio, Steve Buscemi, just this unlikely group of friends that show up and bowl all the time. Oh, it's classic. Just masterfully written.
Even that, the Steve Buscemi's character is written specifically because in Fargo, Steve Buscemi is a blabbermouth. And so they're like, well, we're now going to give you a role where you don't say anything, essentially, which is just such a clever way of using an actor. Because Steve Buscemi is in, for sure, Barton Fink. I believe he's in Hudsucker Proxy. I might be incorrect about that. Yep. But yeah, they just reuse that dude left and right. High on my list of favorite actors.
Yeah, I love at the end when they're spreading the ashes and they mess it up.
He just stands there.
It reminds me of my uncle died.
The Folgers can.
They went to spread his ashes. His wife spreading his ashes, and her two sons, my two cousins, were just yelling at her the whole time because she was doing it wrong. And it was a windy day, and the ashes are blowing up. Like, oh, this is great.
I don't think there's probably anything better than maybe anytime someone spreads ashes, because there's no good way to do it.
No.
If you really just stand back and watch someone do that, your first thought is, yeah, you're doing that wrong. Your second thought is, this is weird.
Yeah, why?
What is happening
Why
right
are we
now?
doing this?
Yeah. Okay, here's a weird one. What do you want to be when you die? Do you want to be buried, cremated? Do you want to become a tree, crystal? What do you want to do?
Don't care.
Don't care.
Dad.
That's a hard one. I don't like that stance. Move. Go.
Well, my one of my best friends' dads just died this morning,
Yes.
and he is going to be turned into fireworks.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good one. See, good one. Get out of here.
Right. I'm going to go with you. I got to be honest. I
Nothing?
really don't care. I want whatever is the least burden for my family.
Right.
And
Yes.
don't spend any money on it. Move on.
Oh, so now you say it's a good answer?
No, because I'm gonna double up. I'm gonna double up on a few things that you said.
I'm not going to tell my kids like 1,000 things they must do and spread my ashes on all four corners
and
of
play
the
this music and
So,
yada,
no.
yada,
Yeah,
yada.
that-
Serve this meal. Come on.
Do it
get
how you want to
whatever.
remember me. It's your
Yeah.
funeral. It's not mine.
I'm not talking about the funeral. I'm talking about the body. I don't care about the funeral. That I don't care about. For me, the funeral. If you're playing music at my funeral, f off. What are we doing? What are we doing? I got to sit through fucking Brooks and Dunn. while my friend is dead? Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, I can go home and listen to Brooks and Dunn and go, God, I remember Kevin. He was great. I don't need to fucking do it while we all sit next to each other and sniffle. That's fucking weird. So I agree with you on that. However, the documentary The Staircase is the first time that I became aware that bodies don't really decompose the way that we do it now. So we embalm you, and then we put you in a casket, and then we seal the casket.
And you're pretty much there.
And
we can dig you up in 30 years and do an autopsy.
So I watched that movie, and they say it, and they're like, yeah, I don't think people really know that bodies are pretty much just hanging out. Like, it's not decomposing like you think it is. Okay, well, that's not for me. Not for me. I like the cremating, but then what do you do with it?
Right.
So then I got on a kick where I was like, I want to be a tree. And then I realized that's the biggest fuck you to your family as possible. Because what the fuck do you do with the tree then?
Yeah.
No, we just
dies.
No, we just got dad.
Right.
We're gonna sell our property, but you gotta. And do you gotta tell the neighbor, like people that buy the house, like, by the way, that's my dad. Like, that's fucked up. So I went from tree to not tree. I like the fireworks because boom, done. See you later. That was cool.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Play the song while the firework goes up. As soon as it's done, shut it off. Do that thing. Don't let it play. All right. Anyways, let's go have a sandwich. Okay, we're running out of time.
Jeez, keep going, man.
Yeah, let's keep moving. So we did.
I just have to say that I think my favorite part from The Big Lebowski is when he's talking with the porn director, and the porn director gets up and leaves the room after writing something down, and he gets up and so cleverly grabs a pencil and tries to do a shading so that he can see what he had written down, but it's just like a nude drawing of something.
A huge dick. It's a big dick.
Yeah.
It's just a giant dick. Agreed.
And the look on his face, like, what the fuck? What? And then he has to run back to the couch and act like he didn't do anything. I laughed so fucking hard at that part.
Quickly put it back in his pocket. I think that's the thing that you don't think about with that movie is it's a sleuth movie. You know, it is it's noir essentially.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, who done it? That it doesn't matter, which is what I love about them. Right. All right, so moving on from that, you brought two films that you wanted to talk about. We have both The Talented Mr. Ripley and A Few Good Men, and I'm gonna let you go whichever route you want to go.
I'm just gonna throw them out here real quick. You asked about a couple of movies, so I just picked a couple of my favorites. Talented Mr. Ripley is been one of you gave your short list. Talented Ripley is not in my top 3 probably, but it's probably in my top 10 for sure.
That's a good pick.
It was originally a book. It was originally written as a novel, and then it was turned into a film. And basically the I can't really give. There's a lot of spoilers that I really don't want to give here, but
it's okay. It was in the 90s.
It is true, so it's not a good chance somebody will see it.
Yeah,
but
if you want to skip that, skip it.
It's Jude Law and of course the awesome cast: Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, and basically what happens. The basic summary is you're introduced to this character, which happens to be Matt Damon's character, and through the course of the film, you begin to learn more and more and more about him. So you used the term art house type feel to this. It's very much that kind of a film. It's beautifully shot, and a lot like my 80s picks were kind of off on writing and film and that kind of thing. But it's beautifully shot. It's shot mostly in Italy. And just has this deterioration of a human being happening in front of you despite himself. And I love those types of films where a person is their own demise because of how they were wired. And this is an excellent example of that. This film, the first time you see it, if you know nothing about it, there will be moments in this film where you go, what the fuck just happened? Yeah. And it's just got some great some great turns and twists, and comes down to the end. And it's just I just recommend people seeing it.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I just watched it last night. I had to watch it on my phone because it was one of those things where like the kids weren't going to go to bed. I was super freaking tired, but I'm like, I have to watch this movie. So I actually watched it on my phone with earbuds in. And a couple things about it. One, beautifully shot. And I love films that are beautifully shot. That was one of the things I said about The Matrix, is The Matrix is actually very beautifully shot. This is...
If you like the color green.
Yeah, agreed. This is quite the opposite. So this gives me
terribly shot.
No, this gives me a bit of like
it's all red.
A lot of yellows in this. A lot of yellows. This gives me a James Bond feel because it takes place in the late 50s, and so it's a period piece as well.
Yep.
And it is his character is going to Italy to try and bring back the son of a wealthy New Yorker.
Shipbuilder.
A shipbuilder, yep. And so this is a millionaire playboy that's dad's you're trying to get this kid to come back. And so picture Italy in the late 50s if you had unlimited resources. Kind of a cool concept, very enjoyable in terms of the way that it looks. It is 2 hours and 20 minutes, which people that know me know that is 20 minutes too long. And it shows a little bit in the beginning of this film. I would snip off 10 minutes from the beginning and maybe 10 minutes from the end, maybe 3/4 mark.
So we don't get the scene set or the resolution.
Well, they spend a little too much time in
Building his backstory a little bit?
Yeah. So, and I would actually say building the son's backstory. So I like here's Tom Ripley is his name. I like that. A little too much time on it, a little slow, but then once they connect, there's like a too much building between the two, but they're trying to get you to show that there's a friendship and a caring about these two characters. It is a very, very good film. If you can get past a little bit of the slowness to begin with, I would argue. It is the director that did The English Patient.
Yep.
Writer and director from The English Patient. It is his follow-up film. You said Minghella?
Mm-hmm. Tony Minghella.
Yep. It is his follow-up film to that. This dude loves Jude Law because his list of films.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. His list of
and
films.
I'd just like to, before we go any further, I'd like to say Jude Law is my front runner for the next James Bond.
Oh.
He'll never make it.
Yeah.
But once I knew that was going to happen, I was like, it's Jude Law.
Yeah.
It's Jude Law.
And I would argue that I would just show this film to show that.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
He's very much so.
Back to them.
Very good film. I really enjoyed it. I think you're absolutely correct that it is devolving of an individual and an individual with a specific constructive mind, which I like.
Which is compulsive liar. He's a compulsive liar, and that ultimately leads to his downfall.
Yeah. So this is a much different film than I thought it was. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've seen this. I remember seeing the trailers for it and stuff back in the day and thinking, I get what that film is. Because it kind of tells you what the story is, right? He's geared to be this guy, Tom Ripley is geared to be this guy that can mimic anyone and can basically con anyone. And he's a con man. And then there's a swapping of lives that kind of happen.
He ultimately falls in love with the guy
Yes.
that he was sent to bring back to the United States, and through and no spoilers here, but through some events that happen, he ends up assuming his identity, and gets, and then it just completely spirals out of control. And right at the end, he basically is kind of out of it, but then something else happens, and boom, it spirals back out of control. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic film. Also, if you like music, if you are a jazz fan, this is one of the greatest movies for you. There's a ton of amazing jazz in here, and if you've never if you've never heard Matt Damon sing, which I can't think of any other film, maybe there are, but I can't think of another film where Matt Damon actually sings a ballad live with the piano.
Scotty doesn't know.
Yeah, he's singing Euro Trip. So it's not actually him.
But it's super good. He sings "My Little Valentine" and or "My Precious Valentine," and it's great.
It's great. I do highly recommend it. I do think you're going to have to get through a little bit, but at the same time, there's loose ends that keep popping up, and it's a stressful movie, and I like
Big
that.
payoff.
I like stressful movies. I got one last thing to say. One last thing to say about this. I'm glad you brought it up because I then pulled up IMDb. There are 2 follow-up films to this. There was a film because this was in 1999. There are 2 films, and of course they're not going to pull up here for me. Right, there's the first thing that happened when I did early. There is a film in the mid 2000s, which is called Ripley Underground, which is, I believe, one of the dudes from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where Ripley
I guess it's not Keanu Reeves.
You mean not Keanu Reeves?
It's not Keanu Reeves. But it is funny that on IMDb,
One of those.
on IMDb, it says more like this, and the thing they say is the Bourne identity. They basically take this character and turn him into Jason Bourne, which this talented Mr. Ripley is not Jason Bourne.
Not at all.
However, follow up to this movie is a film starring John Malkovich called Ripley's Game, which is John Malkovich playing the same role but he's slowly turning into this. It's this complete. I couldn't believe that they did this, because from where this movie ends to where they take it, you're like, that's not.
It's not at all the
And
same.
it's not even what this story is. This story is a guy that is kind of a little whack, but has. I'll say it. He has particular interests that he is very good at.
8-year-olds, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, but the second thing I want to say about that is then, starting next month in April, Netflix actually has a black and white series called Ripley that is coming out.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, moving
Is
on.
it part of the Ripley cinematic
It
universe?
is. It is.
Okay.
It is, and it goes back to this original version of Ripley.
I don't
All right.
believe it.
It's so stupid. Second film you got here, A Few Good Men. Go.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm taking up the whole thing here. But anyways, A Few Good Men was the other one that I pulled out. I pulled out A Few Good Men. So everyone knows the lines that were made famous during the film.
Which is
you
what?
can't handle the truth. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth,
Yeah.
right? That's the line, right?
You can't handle the truth.
I just played it right there.
Yeah. So Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise, obviously, Demi Moore, they make up the cast. But to me, this film is about Aaron Sorkin. Aaron Sorkin he wrote the screenplay. He is not the director. It was directed by Rob Reiner.
Of all people.
Of all people. But if you're familiar with Aaron Sorkin, this is the guy who did West Wing, and he is known for writing this
Fanfic.
I would describe Aaron Sorkin as being known for writing really rapid fire, just crackling line delivery and syntax for characters. And this is a perfect example of that. Every line is really witty and funny and fast, and just has a blistering pace the entire film. It's engaging. It was very unpopular with the United States military after this came out. I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but there was a huge uproar from the Marine Corps, and a lot of blowback from the Marine Corps with how they were depicted supposedly in this film.
Yeah.
Because they committed some war crimes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, committed some war crimes. Basically, through a hazing incident, a young soldier dies, and the institution is trying to protect its own institution and so forth. And of course, Tom Cruise comes in as the JAG lawyer. This is which is a crazy thing that just think about the dynamics of how the military works. They have their own lawyers to go after their own people, and it's all court martials and all that jazz.
And they do a good job of portraying that.
The word
as well.
is rigged.
And so exactly. So the implication is that well, not the implication, but maybe the initial thought when you think of it is it's like it's a group of guys. They all kind of watch out for each other, but this is not that at all. He goes his character and Demi Moore's character go guns a-blazing after this.
He just wants the truth.
He just wants the truth. Yep. And it's a mind game is how he ultimately gets the Jack Nicholson character to basically trap himself in his own words. Again, that's Aaron Sorkin's brilliant writing. And it's just a great film. So.
Yeah, so I remembered this film and I almost didn't watch it because it was like I felt like I had a good grasp on it. But I love that you said Aaron Sorkin, because that's the thing about this is it oozes his writing.
Absolutely.
If you're a fan of Newsroom as well.
Newsroom's great.
It's great.
I mean, everything Aaron Sorkin writes is great, but it's always it's a little over the top. It's always a little over the top.
Yeah, it always gets at the end. There's some flamboyance.
Yeah, there's a big flash in the pan type ending. And one of the reasons I also wanted to pick this is, and it's a little off topic here, but I just wanted to throw out that Aaron Sorkin teamed up with To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know if you're To Kill a Mockingbird, my favorite novel of all time. I'm going to say that right there. Maybe that's another future show is books, but my favorite novel of all time.
These guys don't want to read.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Read.
So we all know Atticus Finch and the whole story and yada, yada, yada. So they, big, huge legal battle ensued over about 5 to 7 years to try to get the rights released by the family that owns the rights to Kill a Mockingbird. Which, interesting fact there, the To Kill a Mockingbird, the entire franchise of To Kill a Mockingbird now grosses more in one day than Harper Lee made her entire career.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But anyways, so a big battle ensued to get the rights to basically rewrite this into a stage adaptation, a stage play. They have ultimately won, and Aaron Sorkin was the guy who took the writing or took the original novel and turned it into a stage adaptation. It's been playing in New York City for about, I think, 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. It is absolutely electric. So if you take the character building skill of Harper Lee, combine this witty ability to write amazing dialogue with Sorkin, it is absolutely electric. It's my favorite play I've ever seen. Highly recommend it, and we'll go on.
A few good.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the other thing is that
Can we expect that to be coming to Brainerd anytime?
I don't think it'll. I would say that we're probably at least a decade out from it being released. We'll see. It's in traveling now. It was a sold out show the minute it opened, and people thought it might last a year. It's been going 5 years, I think, now, and it's an incredible play.
So it's interesting that you say that because Kevin is a stage actor. And a very good stage
Sherlock
actor.
Holmes.
We actually really enjoy going to Kevin's thespian endeavors here. Not lesbian.
No,
Thespian.
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Thespian.
Thespian.
I'll put a little more on that. I was trying not to anyways. A Few Good Men actually, I believe, started as a stage play and then was transformed into the film. You can feel that when you're watching it. I would say the weakest part of this film is Rob Reiner and his directing of it.
That's the weakest spot in most Rob Reiner films.
Yes. It is very well written. The characters are amazing. The story is very good. The cinematography of this film is very weak, I would say.
It's clanky. I would describe it as clanky, and it just does not do the film justice, in my opinion.
There's a lot of moving the camera and I don't mean like panning. I mean like someone's walking and you quick zoom to the doorknob. It's like weird. It's weird. Like, okay, we got it. They're in the hallway. Just back the camera up. We don't need to zoom in and then quick turn to the doorknob. I think we all understand that doorknobs exist. Either show the whole process or just don't show the doorknob. I don't care that you turned it. Unless the doorknob doesn't work, why am I looking at a doorknob is what I thought. Again, things that distract
red?
Dave. I don't believe so. However, the thing I thought about when I was watching this movie was Kevin Yeager could do a very good job in a couple of these roles. However, the Tom Cruise part,
I played that role.
You did?
I did.
Okay, so it is very you.
Yeah, I've played a lawyer on stage, I believe, 9 times. So for whatever reason, I get cast as a lawyer a lot. Yes.
I think that the fun thing about courtrooms is that they're dramas, right? The thing they do right about this film is halfway through the film, which this is also a couple minutes too long. I think this is 2:17, 2 hours and 17 minutes. However, dead set in the middle is when the actual courtroom starts.
Yeah.
I really appreciate when people understand that process of films are films for a reason, and they have beats that you have to hit. When you know, it's almost like the Law and Order type of thing. Half of this is this, half of this is this. It's a really good combination of the two. And for Tom Cruise's character, that's the split of when he decides, okay, I'm all in. Before that, he's very aloof. He's a young guy that he doesn't want to be in courtrooms. He wants to just take the plea deals, and he's such a good lawyer that he doesn't have
In
to
fact,
go to
the
trial.
premise of the film is they gave him this case because they expected him to just work a plea deal and get everybody off the hook, and everybody goes home. And
they don't want to actually talk about what happened.
They don't really want to fight. They don't want it public.
As we find out, the U.S. government does not want this fight. They don't want the public to see this.
Yep.
The thing I enjoy about it, it's a 92 movie that feels very much like a 92 movie. It feels like Clear and Present Danger. It feels like Patriot Games. It feels like it should be a John Grisham novel. It feels like The Firm, which I believe is the very next year is that Tom Cruise is in. So very heavy on that courtroom stuff, but just a fun movie with a really good fucking cast. Yeah, really good cast,
and it rips too. It clips along pretty good, and it's a fun watch.
A little bit faster pace than Talented Mr. Ripley. And here's the cast for you. You've got Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson, Demi Moore, Kevin Bacon, Kiefer Sutherland.
Plays a great bad guy, by the way.
A great bad guy. The one that caught me off guard was Christopher Guest, who we talked about just the other day from...
I just learned that guy's name last week.
from Waiting for Guffman. He shows up and he's not playing a goofball character. He's playing a very serious doctor. And it threw... Dave gets distracted. It's like, that's Christopher Guest. Why is he being so goddamn serious? Combination of him and Rob Reiner. They you go back again, like we said, with This Is Spinal Tap. So Rob Reiner's first, I believe, full film. But yeah, just a great cast, great story, moves along quickly, a lot of information, but the arc and effect to that is the way he writes it. It's so witty.
It is.
Every character is witty. Even Demi Moore, who plays the wet blanket, has a lot of very witty moments in it. It's a great film.
Sorkinisms, I call them.
Sorkinisms. I like that. All right, so we could finish there. However, I want to talk about, just real fast, we got like literally 30 seconds, the program and Blue Chips. Can we talk about that real fast?
Somebody other than me. I take the whole show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bring it on.
Give me a chat.
Great genre of films from the 90s.
Yes.
And it's the college admissions scandal, cheating to get good players on your team movies. And they're both enjoyable. Both box office flops.
Yes.
But both enjoyable films.
Yes. Scott.
Never heard of him.
So you might remember you might remember the program from when you were a kid, Scott, because it was the movie that had a scene where the quarterback was laying in the middle of a road as cars were driving by, just to kind of work on his nerves and stay calm. And then kids tried copying it and started dying and getting run over by cars. So they had to cut that scene from the movie.
From the film, yeah. That is probably the thing it's most notorious for is, And I thought, was it just him or was it, I think it was multiple
The whole team
players.
joined him too at one point.
Yeah, they're all laying in the road.
That's like Fight Club. Everybody started doing the kiss and the lie on the hand thing.
Hey kids, this is a bad idea. The program I really enjoy. I think that the program is a little bit more enjoyable film than Blue Chips. They are the same film from two different sides. So whereas the coach in the program is trying to do things right, the coach in Blue Chips is trying to be the scandalous.
Trying to do things
He's
wrong.
finding the sports boosters to pay the guys to come to the school.
Yeah.
He got
but
Shaquille
win at all
O'Neal and
costs.
Anthony Hardaway to go.
well, I would say they're both. Yeah, you're right. I take that back. They're not both win at all costs. But yes, win at all costs versus
Win with integrity.
Win with integrity.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by that going back to the program. I thought the program was the same.
So did I. I haven't watched it in 30 years.
Yeah.
I might have to go back.
Yeah, the coach is a hard ass, but he's a hard ass in the other direction of fuck you, we will not have this on our team. And they do the traditional beats, the steroids, the kid that's not doing his homework, that's, illegally getting tutored. It literally the exact same fucking movie. Only one is done more dramatic and one is done more, I would argue, it is the movie Unnecessary Roughness. only like just like, hey, let's class it up just a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, there's a point where the one guy gets all roided out and then goes smashes his head through a thing, and they're like, maybe we should clean that dude's piss. It's pretty comical. But I will also argue that character is straight up the Boz.
I believe it was Brian Boswell.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
Yeah, it is straight up a rendition of the Boz. The one thing he does, though, he paints his face like a skeleton. My last year, I believe it was, in high school football, we played a game in the playoffs on Halloween during the day. And I almost did that, but I thought they would have. At that point,
You'd have been out.
Yeah, in the 2001 or 2000, this would have been. They wouldn't have.
You couldn't have taken a drug test either.
Nowadays in the NFL, you can do whatever you want on your face, pretty much.
Yeah, I would love to see someone come out with a full skeleton on their face and then play a round of football.
That's why I hate football.
Around
everyone.
the football.
Round of football. But yeah, Gabe, Nick Nolte in Blue Chips. You've got Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, I believe, and then the other guy I always think is Christian Leitner, but it's not. I can't remember who the
I don't
third
think
guy
he
is.
was a basketball player. I think they just had the two NBA players.
Yeah, looks like a basketball player though, and is kind of your Larry Bird.
Yeah, they got his family a new tractor or something like that.
I think that's one of the best parts of that movie. Is like, what do these kids want?
Dad needs a new John Deere.
Sounds like a good kid.
Yeah, well, that's typically what kids are looking for. But good films. Kevin, thought on either one of them?
I like them both. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen them. It's been a while. When I saw they were on the list, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. That's who was that? That was, yeah, that's good. It's good.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that they both flopped because enjoyable.
Yeah, it's
A lot
why
of
we
great
only get
movies
Marvel
flop,
movies
though.
nowadays.
Yeah.
A lot of great movies flop.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's enough for this week. I got to go grab my kids, so we're going to cut this one off. However, I will say the one movie that we wanted to talk about, which is actually right in front of us here, is Starship Troopers.
Oh boy.
Back in the news again,
So sad we missed it.
but we'll maybe do a little outro with that. But Kevin, I want to thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
We'll have you back on for the 2000s in
Yeah.
another year.
Okay.
If we ever do a film or plays.
Or the iKnowBadeaux book club.
The I
Kevin's
know, but
invited.
Yeah.
Gabe wants us to do a book club. I can't fucking read. So
And I only read classics. So
okay. So that's the one thing I will say is that I went through that whole, the accelerated classes in school. So I've read all the classics and I love them. I really do. I've got a really good grasp of
Dickens and all that.
Yeah, Dickens is some of my
I
favorite
also
work.
have a good grasp of Dickens.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Kevin. And with that, we're done. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. I was actually going to say, like Great Expectations is my favorite novel. I actually take that.
You should
back.
have lowered your expectations.
Oh, that's a great thing from Mad TV. Lowered expectations. Super fast though. Starship Troopers.
Yeah. I was kidding when I said it was a flaw. I didn't like it, by the way.
Well,
It's a bad movie. It's a really bad movie.
Box office dynamo though. Made like 120 million off of a 20 million budget.
yeah, and it's what the hell's the guy's name? Paul Verhoeven. So it is RoboCop.
Terminator.
Total Recall.
Okay.
Yeah, Total Recall.
Tron. It's got like a Tron kind
It
of
does
feel
have a
to it
Tron
little
feel
bit.
to it. Yeah, it does. But I like that he implants these social commentaries in there, and that's what's so enjoyable about it. Is
What was the
right.
commentary? Fuck bugs.
Yeah, they're like bugs. Yeah.
No,
It's basically Men in Black.
they're Nazis.
yeah,
They are the Nazis.
yes, yeah, but at the same time,
Neil Patrick Harris wears a fucking SS
He does.
uniform in the goddamn
Which would
movie.
make the bugs
us,
okay.
yeah. But at the same
Or
time,
Russians, yeah.
the bugs have like butthole mouths. Like, it's just
They're asking for it.
they were. You can't look like that and not get shot in the face with a laser. Very cool. The propaganda that's in it. I really enjoyed that part of it. I really enjoy that it's these kids that are in high school and rah, we're going to go fight. Because it's almost a little Red Dawn-ish.
Sure.
It's almost all Quiet on Western Front a little bit. Like they start off, they're so gung-ho, and then they all go through their various different things. However, in this, the lesson isn't war sucks. In this, the lesson is war's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And what's the guy's name? Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny.
What's the actor's name?
Oh, I forget completely.
Something
It's right
Van,
there.
Carter Van, something or other. Casper, well, where is it? Casper Van Dien.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Terrible actor.
Oh, awful.
He ranks right up there with Randall from Clerks.
Little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Good sets of titties in there though too. We're 90s. We still got titties.
Starting to get them out, yeah.
The remake of Starship Troopers ain't getting you boobs. You ain't getting boobs.
Did you see Denise Richards' tits in that movie?
I don't think you see hers, but
don't think you did.
I think there's two other actresses in that good on you. Thanks. If you want to end end a segment on the 90s movies, boobs. All right, I gotta go.
Well, see you later.